Couple of minor updates, just tweaks by a second or so for some of the key activities that will be coming up. Flight Dynamics providing us with some updated information. The start of the blackout period, just a 1 second change. It's going to be estimated now at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. The duration remains 6 minutes. That blackout will end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. all Central Time. We expect to begin entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet at 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. And 1 second difference now in our splashdown time, if everything unfolds the way we believe it will. Splashdown now scheduled at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Pacific Time at the splashdown zone off the coast of San Diego. And one other update, the latest weather forecast from the Spaceflight Meteorology Group, passed on to Flight Director Rick Henfling, calls for the clouds in the splashdown zone to be in the process of dissipating. The winds are somewhat reduced, now just 6 knots. The wave height's still less than 4 feet. All go forecast. So once again, the stage is set as Integrity continues its inexorable march toward a splashdown in the Pacific 2 hours from now. 16,000 nautical miles away from the Earth. We are just 1 hour and 26 minutes away from crew module, service module separation, followed by a raise burn to tilt the aft end of the vehicle up ever so slightly and improve its angle of attack into the Earth's atmosphere as a mitigating action to reduce heat loads on the heat shield of the vehicle. This is all pre-planned, pre-flight. There's no differentiation between what we had designed this mission to do. We are expecting to reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at entry interface and 400,000 feet above the planet 1 hour and 45 minutes from now.
Integrity, Houston. Cabin temp cold soaking is initiated.
Copy that, Jackie. CO2 is 5.5, and we are still doing good on board. Christina and Jeremy are beginning suit on.
Houston copies all. to Houston for entry checklist.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Read, with this time to EI, we expect you're about to be stepping into steps 9 and 10 in the entry checklist. In step 10 for the SIP switch config, there are no deltas.
No deltas to step 10. Copy all.
This is Mission Control, Houston. Once again, a great view of the planet Earth from integrity from one of the solar array wing cameras. Now just 14,000 nautical miles from splashdown. Splashdown schedule for 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Pacific Time. At a point to the southwest of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean, where the USS John Murtha is on station and where recovery team assets are being deployed to the predicted splashdown site to complete the mission of Integrity's astronauts and their lunar flyby. With the Earth growing larger in the field of view, the next major milestone, just 1 hour and 13 minutes from now, will be the separation of the crew module from the European service module.
Houston copies.
The separation of the crew module will set the stage just 3.5 minutes later.
Go ahead.
When I was looking at the BFSSM set, it was the exact same time as our predicted SM set. Can you just confirm we don't need that to be a touch later?
And read, matching is expected. That's when the sequence will begin for that whole step config.
Outstanding. Thank you for the verification.
Here in Mission Control in the Artemis Flight Control Room, Capcom Jackie Mahaffey confirming some of the timeline activities with Commander Reed Wiseman aboard the vehicle. The crew has suited up in its launch and entry suits, ready to begin the critical phase of this mission. Their homecoming to a high-speed entry and a parachute-assisted splashdown in the Pacific. Once again, the next major milestone, 1 hour, 11 minutes from now, the separation of the crew module from the European service module as Artemis's astronauts head home to complete this historic flight.
mission is a test mission of the Orion space capsule.
Artemis 2 will be the first time we put humans on this rocket.
We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars.
We were always going to the moon.
Pushing ourselves to explore is just part of who we are. It's a part of being a human.
Continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring together genius from around the world.
You have the best people on planet Earth putting this vehicle together.
To innovate for the benefit of humanity and to inspire the world through discovery.
And here we go.
1972, 2:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Command Module America splashes down in the Pacific with Gene Cernan, Ron Evans, and Jack Schmidt aboard as the Apollo 17 mission came to an end, along with humanity's first series of expeditions to the moon. Today at this hour, you are looking live at our planet from the Integrity spacecraft, heading for a splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego, just 1 hour and 35 minutes from now. And good day from the Artemis Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where the entry flight control team is on duty at this hour, led by Flight Director Rick Henfling, joined on console with the voice you'll hear talking to the crew throughout the course of the day. That is Jackie Mahaffey, second from your left. Everything has gone extremely well as we are closing in on the return of Artemis's astronauts from their flight around the moon and historic lunar flyby that will culminate with that splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego just 1 hour and 35 minutes from now.
And with that, it's a good entry pad, and we can continue in the procedure.
Integrity.
You're looking at a live view inside Integrity. Reed Wiseman on the left doing a fist bump with pilot Victor Glover on the right, and down in the mid-deck area just below their feet, suited up in their launch and entry suits, are mission specialists Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. A number of milestones yet to unfold before splashdown just over an hour and a half from now. Earlier today, the crew woke up at about 10:35 a.m. Central Time. They completed the final major maneuver of the flight, that being the return trajectory correction 3 burn. It was an 8-second burn that fine-tuned its trajectory to enter a corridor over the Pacific Ocean a short time from now. That will be the point of entry interface where the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Crew moved into its entry checklist just after 4 p.m. Central Time, suited up in those launch and entry suits, conducted leak checks, and now are in the final stages of their entry checklist.
Instruction 115 of entry checklist. SM separation ATP is go.
Houston copies.
The next major milestone on the route home.
Fully zipped, and they're working on EBS and then seating up.
We copy. Thanks for the status.
Jackie Mahaffey talking to Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity. The spacecraft now about 12,000 nautical miles from the Earth's surface. The next major milestone on tap for the crew will be the handover of communications from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System. The Deep Space Network came into play after the translunar injection burn back on April 2nd that propelled Integrity toward its lunar flyby. We'll be back on the TDRS network here in about 41 minutes. Following that, the next activity will be the pyrotechnic separation of the crew module from the European service module. That is scheduled at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, followed 4 minutes later by one final critical maneuver. That will be a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters in what is called the crew module raise burn. Now what that does is it basically acts If you were sitting in a reclining chair, you'd basically tilt yourself back. It raises the aft end of integrity ever so slightly, and that is the final opportunity for us to fine-tune the angle of attack of integrity through the area of peak heating at entry interface that will come a bit later on, about an hour and 18 minutes from now. So after the raise burn, we will be in the final orientation that will minimize any peak heating on the heat shield of integrity, and prior to the time the crew enters the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Entry interface. This is the critical time where the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling 34,882 feet per second. Just 24 seconds after entering the Earth's atmosphere, we will experience a communications blackout expected to last 6 minutes in duration. This is planned, and it is caused by the interaction of the velocity of integrity with the friction of Earth's atmosphere. There will be a buildup of plasma around the vehicle, and that ionization will prevent any communications with the crew and any receipt of data by flight controllers here in Mission Control. That blackout is scheduled to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Again, a 6-minute blackout that will end, if all goes as planned, at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. At that point, we expect to regain communications with the crew and a reacquisition of data through the tracking and data relay satellite system. We will have a series of roll maneuvers. These are computer commanded that will roll the vehicle slightly to the left, then back to the right. That will bleed off excess energy as we begin our peak period of velocity. We expect to reach a maximum velocity of 24,661.21 miles per hour, equivalent to about Mach 33 times the speed of sound, shortly after we enter that blackout period. Once we exit the blackout period, of course, we're in the denser regions of the Earth's atmosphere, and then we get set up for the parachute deployment sequence. First, the deployment of 3 forward bay cover chutes that will pull essentially the top forward bay cover off the very top of the integrity vehicle. That will be followed by the deployment of drogue chutes, and then the final deployment of a series of 3 main parachutes at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. From that point on, it is about 3 minutes or so until splashdown. Splashdown scheduled at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time at a gentle speed of 19 miles an hour. So just to give you some perspective, at the time that we enter the Earth's atmosphere, we're traveling somewhere around Mach 32. We will splash down at a speed of about 19 miles an hour. The G-forces that will build on the crew members inside Integrity will build to about 3.9 Gs. That is what is expected and what they have trained for and what the spacecraft is designed to support. The latest weather forecast out in the recovery zone off the coast of San Diego is a go forecast from our meteorologists here at the Spaceflight Meteorology Group at the Johnson Space Center. And standing by on the deck of the USS John Murtha is my colleague from the Kennedy Space Center, Megan Cruz. Megan?
Hey, Rabia, welcome to the bow of the USS John Murtha. This is where we will report out live updates from the ship as NASA and the U.S. military work to recover our Artemis II astronauts in just about an hour and a half. How exciting. Now, right now, as you can see, we are out in the Pacific Ocean. We are just west of San Diego. We're actually staged about 6.5 miles away from where we expect Orion to splash down. And then we will incrementally move closer. So at the time of splashdown, we'll be about 5 miles away, and then we will move to 3.2 miles away. At that point, we'll pause, make sure that all the debris that might be coming down with Orion, because basically some parts of like the parachute system, they're jettisoned off Orion during descent. So we'll just want to make sure that those all land in the water and that we are safe to move even closer. So we will make sure that we can move a little closer, and at that point we will move to a mile away from Orion. And at that point the ship will circle the capsule while NASA and Navy recovery forces work to get our astronauts out, and we should have great views of the bow from here. But also we have a ton of cameras all around the ship. For example, we actually have some cameras right to the left of me here on the bow. These are very strong, stabilized cameras. We can really get up close to make sure that we are sharing all the images we have available to you. We also will have some views from above. We actually have 5 planes providing live views of splashdown today. In fact, some of those aerial assets just took off from San Diego minutes ago. And then actually here on the flight deck, you see 4 helicopters. The 2 in the back, those will take off in about 30 minutes from now, also with live cameras. So again, lots and lots of imagery that we hope to share with you today. And then those 2 helos in the front, those 2 will pluck the crew out of the water and fly them back to our ship. Now, the combined team here on the ship, more than 550 people, left San Diego 4 days ago, and since then I've watched different teams train every day, rehearse, final preps to make sure that they're ready for today. So to give us more of an update about how recovery is going on right now, why don't we turn over to Paul here, Paul Serpinski. He is the Assistant Artemis Recovery Director. Great to have you here, Paul.
Great to be here, thanks.
Absolutely. So you just left the Landing Forces Operations Center here on the ship. How are we looking for recovery?
Right now, it's looking great. When I left, they were just about to get into weather briefing with Mission Control Center in Houston, but listening to the loops this morning and everything that's been going on, the reentry trajectory correction burn, the return trajectory correction burn went great. They were right down the money, right on the money, right down the middle, where they should be coming back. Our forces here are teams out in the water. All our boats are launched or will be imminently. So yeah, it's just coming along great.
Yeah. It's really nice to see. We did see some of those boats float behind us. We were hoping to give you a live view, but of course they floated right out of the camera shot as you came to us. But so basically the team right now here on the ship, basically like monitoring mode, but really things will pick up about 15 minutes after splashdown.
Yeah, so a couple minutes before splashdown, things start happening really, really fast. Some events during the re-entry, they're maybe a second or 2 apart, and so it just takes a whole lot of effort and a lot of updates back and forth between us and Houston to try to keep track of everything that's happening, all in real time. And then after splashdown, that's when the recovery team really kicks into high gear. We have our boat teams, our boat crews going out, our divers, doing hazardous assessments so they get progressively closer to the capsule, making sure it's safe for all of our people to go in, and it's also safe for the astronauts to come out, because really at the end of the day that's what we're here for, is we're going to make sure that the astronauts get home safe after their tremendous journey to the moon and back. But then also we have, like you mentioned on a minute ago, all of our imagery helicopters are taking imagery, camera shots of it as it's coming in all the way through splashdown. I mean, they'll see it as soon as it crosses the horizon, all the way to the ocean here.
And then afterwards we have to recover actually Orion to bring it into the well deck of the ship.
Absolutely, yeah. And so once the astronauts are safe on board, then those same dive teams are going to transition into securing the capsule. They'll position some equipment around it to kind of facilitate that. The ship will move into position. We'll attach a really big winch line to it, and then a bunch of tending lines. We'll pull the capsule around behind the ship and then start to slowly bring it in. And then, Orion comes in, goes hard down, and everyone cheers.
Yeah, great day, exactly. Lots to coordinate, a lot to manage. Basically, planning for this recovery, Artemis 2 recovery, started a month after Artemis 1 launched. That was the uncrewed test flight of the Space Launch System rocket, as well as the Orion spacecraft. That was November 2022, a month later, all the planning for this. How does it feel to be so close to welcoming our friends, our astronauts home?
I mean, for the whole team, I walked around the ship this morning, just kind of visiting with a lot of people, a lot of groups, and just kind of get the feel of them. And everyone has that same kind of mentality. Everyone's excited, everyone's thrilled to see all that work that we've been doing, like you said, for the last 3 years, since right after the last one came back till now, and some people even further back, some of them go back a decade or more. So everyone is just excited and they're ready. They're really ready for this, and just to be able to see our crew come back, that's going to be a thrill for everyone.
How are you feeling? Are you ready? Is this something you ever thought you'd be doing?
I'm ready. I'm excited. This has been the pinnacle of my career so far. It really has. I've seen a lot of firsts, a lot of lasts, but I can't think of ever topping seeing the first crew to go to the moon and back in 50 years, and to be here and be a part of that. And it's just a tremendous privilege. And on behalf of the whole team, I'm thrilled, and so are all of us. We're ready.
Yeah, I definitely think that those words really embody how everybody on the ship is feeling. So thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you being here. And so, Rob, we'll toss it back to you again. We will continue to join you with live updates from the ship as much as possible.
Thank you, Megan. Back here at the Johnson Space Center, the entry team of flight controllers looking over the shoulders of Reed Wiseman and Victor Glover. They're on the flight deck of Integrity, and again, just below their feet in the mid-deck area, if you will, Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. They're in the final review of their entry procedures and all of the activities that will follow here very shortly in trip hammer fashion. We should note that after splashdown occurs, the flight control team here in Houston will be monitoring the orientation of the Integrity spacecraft. We are expecting it to splash down upright in what is called the Stable 1 configuration, with the top of the spacecraft pointed upward. Stable 2 would indicate that it is upside down in the water. Regardless of the orientation, there will be 5 inflatable airbags called the CMOOS system. That's the acronym for Crew Module Uprighting System.
We are suit dock complete.
Houston copies.
Reed Wiseman acknowledging that the final steps in suit donning are now complete for the crew. Leak checks have been completed earlier. The CMOOS system, those 5 inflatable airbags, will be inflated with helium. Those airbags will ensure that the vehicle remains upright. While that activity is going on, the flight control team here will be checking the systems on Integrity, also making sure that there's no leakage of toxic gas from the spacecraft. It should take about 15 minutes from splashdown to the power down of all of the systems on Integrity. And at that point, assuming everything is in a nominal fashion, then the green light will be given for the Navy recovery teams to begin to make their way closer to Integrity to begin the erection of a large inflatable life raft called a front porch that will be buttressed up alongside the hatchway to the spacecraft. That life raft will be used to bring the crew members out of this vehicle once the hatch is open, one by one. They'll get their land legs back after 9 days of weightlessness before they're put in harnesses to be hoisted one by one in sequential fashion, in an alternating fashion, to the 2 hovering Navy helicopters overhead.
Houston Integrity for status.
Go ahead.
Seats 3 and 4 are connecting umbilicals. We're going to be stepping into leak check soon. 1 and 2 will be seated. 3 and 4 will be free float, and we'll configure EPROC accordingly.
Houston copies all.
Reed Wiseman talking about the current procedures with the suiting of the crew members and subsequent leak checks, a final leak check for all 4 crew members. Everything is actually running a few minutes ahead of schedule. So once the life raft is inflated next to the Integrity spacecraft and the recovery teams have arrived alongside of the vehicle, the hatch will be open and the crew members will be brought outside into that front porch, as it is called, one by one. They then will be hoisted into the hovering helos overhead, and those helos then will turn around once the 4 crew members are on board, 2 for each helicopter, and will head back to the ship. That should be about a 10 to 15 minute transit. Once the helicopters land on the deck of the USS John Murtha, the crew members will be exiting those helicopters and brought into medical bay on the deck on the ship itself for comprehensive medical exams. They will spend a period of time yet to be determined on board the USS John Murtha before they are flown by helicopter to the shore in San Diego, to the San Diego Naval Air Station, and ultimately will board a NASA jet for the flight back to the Johnson Space Center here in Houston. Just to recap some of the key times that are coming up, we are expecting the separation of the crew module from the service module just 43 minutes from now. That is expected to occur at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, 7:33 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be followed just 4 minutes later by the crew module raise burn, the use of Integrity's thrusters one final time in a 19-second burn to slightly tilt the vehicle up into the correct orientation or angle of attack to ensure that it enters the Earth's atmosphere at the right angle, if you will. That will help deflect the buildup of heat against Integrity's heat shield. This was a deliberate move, a change in the procedures from the Artemis 1 mission that resulted in unexpected char loss on the Avcode heat shield that had not been intended based on the entry trajectory for the Artemis 1 mission. What we're doing is we deliberately changed the trajectory of the entry from a skip entry that was about a 3,000-mile transit across the Pacific Ocean. We are expecting now from entry interface to the point of splashdown to have a range of just 1,701 nautical miles, and that in of itself will reduce the exposure time of heating on the heat shield of the spacecraft. Once the raise burn is complete, then the stage is set for entry interface at 6:53 and 31 seconds p.m. Central Time. That means that Integrity will be entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, heading for its splashdown site off the coast of San Diego, as you just heard from Megan Cruz on the deck of the USS John Murtha. Splashdown once again under those three main parachutes is expected at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset. The actual total distance traveled for Integrity from launch to splashdown is estimated at 694,481 statute miles. Now that includes the first high elliptical Earth orbit following launch that enabled Integrity to move to 43,000 miles above the Earth at its apogee, and enabling a 24-hour period of systems checkouts before the flight control team here and the mission management team gave approval for Integrity to conduct its translunar injection that propelled it on its way to the moon and its historic lunar flyby. So the total distance we expect this vehicle to have traveled at splashdown, 694,481 statute miles. With everything proceeding on track and on time aboard Integrity, the vehicle system's in excellent shape as the Earth grows larger in the field of view. Let's go back to the USS John Murtha and Megan Cruz, who is standing by.
Hey, yeah, Rob, welcome back. Again, we are out in the Pacific Ocean, staged just about 6.5 miles from where we expect Orion to splash down now in just over an hour. How exciting. And the weather, awesome conditions here. I know you see some wind blowing around my hair, but really nothing to speak of when it comes to having to recover our astronauts, as well as no waves here, really. So yeah, we're expecting a really great day. Also, hopefully, some really great views. You can see behind me that some of the clouds are starting to break up, so that's really exciting. And now, of course, this ship has a lot of people ready and excited to welcome our crew back home, including Dr. Rick Schuring here. He is a NASA flight surgeon. Great to have you here, Rick.
You too, Megan. It is a blessing to be out here this day with our teams. We've trained 3 years for this, nonstop with the U.S. Navy, and along with EGS, and we've so looked forward to this day. And You know, just by God's grace, everything's parting, the skies and everything. The crew's doing great. Looking forward to coming back, and our teams are ready. So this is one of those days you've dreamt about, and now it's finally here, and we're ready, and just thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you play a really integral role. When was the last time you spoke to the crew, and how are they feeling in this last hour before splashdown?
Sure. Yeah, so the crew woke up. When they splashed down, they were woken up about 8.5 hours ago. Me and my fellow crew surgeons, Doctors Chris Haas and Rafi Kunjian from the Canadian Space Agency, spoke with them about 6.5 hours ago, just to double check on how they were doing, if there's any medical issues, you know, how they slept, and then kind of go over their landing day protocol for their medications, for what we call a fluid load, try to replace some of the fluid and electrolytes that they've lost with just a normal space adaptation. Once they got to space, they kind of have to replace some of that fluid to help them with the whole landing kind of readaptation to 1G, which they haven't done for the last 10 days. And then just kind of let them know how things are going to play out, you know, out with the open water teams all the way until we finally get to the med deck. So they were very pumped up, very hurried though. They had a lot of cabin configuration, a lot of things to get ready. So they're excited. They're also very focused on the job that they had to do. So like again, we've trained a long time for this, and we're ready.
And you said some medications. I mean, those are kind of just to mitigate the effects of, obviously, they're more than 695,000 mile journey back to Earth. It's just like anti-nausea medication, right?
Yeah, exactly, Megan. The you know, astronauts are very healthy, fortunately, and even when they come back in reentry, you know, the human system is very kind of dynamic. It has to readapt very quickly, and one of the most common responses they get is just some stomach awareness, to some nausea, even to some vomiting. And you know, with our crews that land out in Kippergan, the Soyuz crews, or our SpaceX crews, you know, they all kind of experience the same thing. This will be the first time we're landing in water since December 1972, and I worked with all the Apollo astronauts years ago, and they all told me that, you know, landing in the water, especially the Pacific, can be very provocative. So we take steps to give them medicines to really mitigate some of that nausea, vomiting, help them feel a little better, and also sometimes just use a little anti-inflammatory medicine just to help with coming back to 1 Earth, or 1G. The effects of microgravity, especially as you age and you have arthritis, you feel great in microgravity. Everyone kind of curses coming back to the ground like, God dang, 1G, but so that helps a little bit. But for the most part, the main thing is just replacing that fluid and then trying to help them with that transition back to 1G, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah, and their health is assessed almost immediately after they splash down.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Jesse Wang, and we have our independent duty corpsmen, who are the Navy version of paramedics, extremely highly trained, highly experienced Navy medics and divers, who will go out there, open the capsule about 25, 28 minutes after splashdown, and do the first initial assessment. So Jesse and his team will go out there and look at each crew, kind of do their assessments, get vital signs, report back to Drs. Haas and Kunji and I back in med bay, let them know how they're doing, and then you know, if they've got the normal kind of space adaptation kind of things, we expect that they're good to go on that. If anything, you know, didn't go the way we want, they're all prepared for that as well. And Jesse and his team, I mean, you know, this is their full-time job, taking care of, you know, sailors and folks who might be injured. We don't expect any injuries, but coming back, you know, going 25,000 miles an hour down to, you know, 20 miles an hour is still a dynamic process. I've heard it described as, you know, kind of like a car crash. And then the crew will be ready to go, and Jesse and his team will make that transition to get them out to the front porch, do assessments on them again, call it to our med bay, and then once we have that and they're all good to go and the crew is feeling okay, we'll hoist them up in the helos. It's about a 3-minute flight back to the flight deck, and that's where me and the astronaut chief, Scott Tequila, will actually meet them. I'll get eyes on them, make sure they're all good, just take very slow transitions, and then one by one we'll either get them out with the SMTs, the SAR med techs under each arm, just, you know, kind of just walking very slowly to med bay, which actually helps them acclimate back to 1G. Or if they really don't have their sea legs back yet, then we might put them in what we call a stair chair, which will be right behind them, and then just very, very slowly kind of get them back into med bay to start our full assessments for the team.
Yeah, so a really great team here to support them as soon as they get back, and also all throughout the mission, of course. You talked a little bit about this, but obviously, you know, we have seen astronauts return from the International Space Station for over 25 years, so we kind of know that that journey, how it affects the body. But yes, we're talking about humans returning from the moon for the first time since 1972. How is this different from your perspective?
So it's different in one very significant respect. With on Apollo, for exercise, they had something called the Apollo Exergenia, which was basically just a flight little canister with some ropes, and they would have some resistance and kind of do that. And the Apollo astronauts really liked that. They liked the ability to exercise, because you decondition from a musculoskeletal standpoint, you lose your strength and your stamina very, very quickly. We had something called the Orion flywheel, which was able to impart much greater loads in terms of resistance, so they're able to do squats, deadlifts, different things, not dissimilar to what the ISS astronauts do, but with a lot less room to do it. And they also did rowing activities for cardiovascular health, and the crews loved it. But for the lunar crews, the lunar crews, maintaining that physical conditioning, which our astronaut strength conditioning rehabilitation specialists, affectionately known as the ACERs, back in Houston, really work hard to get them in the best shape they're going to, have to be in to get to the moon. That device hopefully will maintain that. And Apollo only had about a 4.3-day journey to the moon. Our astronauts are going to have about a 10 to 14-day journey. So maintaining that physical fitness, that strength and stamina is going to be crucial for the success of being able to do those very physically demanding lunar EVAs. So we're very excited about what the astronauts have said about the device and what they have to say about the role exercise plays, going to the moon. And also the mental benefit.
Sure.
They just really like sweating, breaking sweat, and actually just feeling like, they're just getting a workout.
Right.
So
thank you so much, Rick. I really do appreciate it. I know they're going to be in good hands, so we'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the time.
Back to you, Rob.
Okay, Megan, back here in Mission Control in Houston. Everything is moving along in order. This view of Reed Wiseman on the left, Victor Glover on the right. We have good suit leak checks. Everything aboard integrity is in excellent shape. The vehicle, with the Earth growing larger and larger in the field of view, we're now just about 8,200 nautical miles away from Earth and closing in for a splashdown just 1 hour and 5 minutes from now.
Integrity, just under a minute till your GPS maneuver initiates, and both GPS units look eager to acquire.
Standing seats 3 and 4 are working on seat strap in now.
Houston copies.
Once again, as we start to close in on some of the major milestones, so the first one coming up in just 31 minutes.
And Integrity, just confirming the LCG gas trap was able to be closed out.
Affirmative.
Copy.
Crew module, service module separation schedule just 31 minutes from now. The key point of interest, of course, will be the performance of Integrity's heat shield during its high-speed entry back into Earth at the peak heating that is expected around the spacecraft of some 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. On Artemis 1, as I think most folks know by now, we flew a trajectory known as a skip entry, in which we performed an initial dip into the atmosphere to bleed off some energy. Then we skipped out of the atmosphere and dipped back into the atmosphere before splashing down in the Pacific. But after the mission was over with, we noticed unexpected liberation of some of the charring effects on the heat shield known as AVCO. Before the flight, we had an opportunity to sit down and talk with Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling to get a perspective on what this all means and how the mission was redesigned to try to protect Integrity's heat shield to a higher extent. Let's take a look at that interview.
Returning from the moon is a lot different than deorbiting from low Earth orbit. When we return from the moon, we expect to achieve velocities upwards of 36,000 feet per second. And in order to slow down to a nice, graceful splashdown in the Pacific Ocean, the flight crew is going to experience between 3 and 4 times the force of Earth's gravity. On Artemis 1, pressure buildup inside the char layer of the heat shield resulted in the char losses we saw. NASA established a Tiger team whose job was to investigate the cause of the problem and then make recommendations on how to fly the Artemis 2 mission safely and successfully. And so for Artemis 2, we are going to fly a profile that ensures the spacecraft will not see that same type of pressure profile. And so the char losses seen on Artemis 2 will not be like the ones that we saw on Artemis 1.
Rick Henfling indicated that the orientation of the spacecraft and the shortening of the distance of transit to the splashdown zone from the point of entry interface when we reach the top of the Earth's atmosphere, which will be coming up at 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time, should do the trick in minimizing the deleterious forces against that heat shield that were noticed on the Artemis 1 mission.
We think we see a beautiful sunrise over the west coast of Australia.
We copy.
Commander Reed Wiseman reveling in his final hour in space on this mission as Integrity is passing over the southwest coast of Australia now at an altitude of some 7,600 nautical miles. That will begin the southwest and northeasterly transit across the Pacific Ocean. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the highlights and some of the numbers associated with the points of interest here. We are 27 and a half minutes away from crew module, service module separation. That will be followed about 3.5 minutes later by the raise burn that we've discussed, a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters to fine-tune its angle of attack as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface is scheduled 47 and a half minutes from now. That's the point at which we will reach the top of the Earth's atmosphere, traveling about 34,882 feet per second at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Just 24 seconds after entry interface, we will begin a blackout period of 6 minutes in duration at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Now, right about 10 seconds after the blackout period begins, we are expected to reach peak speed, which would be 24,661 miles an hour. That'll be about 103 miles an hour short of the velocity record set by the Apollo 10 astronauts, Tom Stafford, Gene Cernan, and John Young, when they returned from the moon on the Apollo 10 mission in 1969. That blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes in duration. At 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, we'll reach our peak heating period of about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees while we're in a communications blackout from Integrity and its astronauts. That blackout should end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time, at which point we expect to regain communications with the crew. Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in the flight control room will be talking to the crew, calling them, and we'll await a response from the crew as they come out of that blackout period. And at that point, their altitude will be just 157,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 13,000 feet per second with a range to splashdown of just 147 nautical miles. From that point on, the next key series of events will be the deployment of a series of parachutes that we discussed before. First, the forward bay cover chute deploy that will pull the forward bay cover away from the top of Integrity, followed by drogue chute deploy, and then the main chute deploy that's expected at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. That will begin the gentle descent of Integrity towards its splashdown at just a velocity of just 19 miles an hour. And that will begin the recovery operations that you just heard Megan Cruz discuss with her folks on the USS John Murtha. All of Integrity's systems in great shape. The crew is suited up. Leak checks complete as we stand by for the next major milestone, which will be the crew module service module separation just 24 and a half minutes from now. the activities from the start of entry interface to the point of splashdown will be quite rapid fire. Just 13 and a half minutes from the point at which we begin descent into the Earth's atmosphere till splashdown. And just to show you, as Rick Shearing, the flight surgeon, alluded to in his interview with Megan Cruz, all of this happens to decelerate the vehicle from traveling around Mach 33 to just 19 miles an hour at splashdown. All of that happening in just 13 and a half minutes. But the vehicle and the parachutes are all designed to support all of that, so we'll be standing by to report all that to you in sequential fashion as these milestones are ticked off and as we hear from the crew during its entry back into the Earth's atmosphere, and ultimately when they emerge from the blackout period, and at that point we'll be just minutes away from splashdown. So with all of those preparations ongoing, we can return here briefly for another report from the USS John P. Murtha and Megan Cruz. Megan? And we'll regain that communication with the USS John P. Murtha just momentarily. In the meantime, everything is on track aboard Integrity, the flight control team here in Houston, led by Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling. The voice you will hear talking to the crew is that of Jackie Mahaffey. She will be reporting everything to the crew and receiving their reports as they enter the Earth's atmosphere for their 13-and-a-half-minute plunge back into the atmosphere for splashdown off the coast of San Diego. Now we have the ship back with us and Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha. Megan?
11th balloon, right? Hey, Rabia, the excitement is really building here on the ship. I'm watching right now one of the weather balloons being lofted up from the ship. Again, weather balloons very important for us to make sure that we are tracking the right kind of weather and also the data that's needed for what's called our Sasquatch team. Again, it's a team out of NASA that basically makes sure that the debris that comes off of Orion, again, some of those pieces of the parachute system, make sure that they don't fall on us here in the sea, and also our aerial assets, our folks in helicopters. So watching them float away right now. But with me right now is Captain Eric Kenny. He's the commanding officer of the John P. Murtha naval ship. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many moving parts that you have to keep an eye on.
That's absolutely right, yeah. But first of all, on behalf of the crew of USS John P. Murtha, Megan, thanks for having me on today. Happy to tell you what we're doing and excited to get the interview started.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we actually take a look at the flight deck here? We'll start there. Basically, we also, while watching this weather balloon float away, we noticed all 4 helicopters leave the flight deck. We now have an empty flight deck. We had 2 imagery helos as well as the 2 crew helicopters that will go recover the crew. This is just one of the many things that, again, our ship of 550 people, it's something that you oversee as commanding officer.
Yeah, absolutely. Every commanding officer, I would say really every naval service member, our priority is always safety. And as the commanding officer, I take that as one of my primary roles here on board. Mission accomplishment is important, safety always. So my day really has, I would say my message to the crew has sort of changed over the past 24 hours. As we're leading up to today, we've been building up with excitement and motivating the team for the training that we've executed. But really over the past 24 hours, now I'm trying to get us to slow down a little bit. Trust our training, right? Don't believe all the hype. Don't believe everything that's going on. Just let's trust what we've done to get to this point, and we do that, we'll be successful today.
And also part of the big success is obviously the coordination between NASA and the U.S. military. How does it feel being able to support the human space program we have?
Yeah, I mean, since 1959 with Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the history between NASA and the Navy has been in lockstep. But like any other skill, if you don't practice it regularly, the skill atrophies. So we've had a few decades off from that. But, over the past 4 or 5 years, really with this ship over the past year, we've constantly trained and working for this moment right here, building up the hype to get to this point today, to be able to trust all the training we've done. we working with NASA, the Air Force, the medical team, dive team. You want to talk about high performance organizations coming together, working in unison. We are seeing that here on board the USS John P. Murtha, and I can't be more proud of all the work everyone's doing.
Yeah, you had some great words this morning saying just that again, and that it's really nice to see everybody working together and so excited. I mean, you just became the commanding officer of this ship back in February. How does it personally feel for you to be a part of this historic moment today?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'd say any opportunity to command any warship in the United States Navy is a tremendous honor, is a pinnacle of any naval officer's career. That being said, as my change of command was approaching, and I realized that Artemis was going to be in the window here, to say that I'm humbled and honored to be here is an understatement. What really just excites me is the opportunity to see this crew, who has been training so hard over the past year plus, come together. It is what inspires me. Listening to NASA and the ownership and pride they take, they make my crew better. I think we're making NASA better together. That synergy is something that I'm happy to see and hopefully take forward me in my career.
Yeah, it's all about partnerships. We couldn't do it without you, and we couldn't have gotten to the moon without our international partners as well. So thank you so much, Captain. It was really great to have you here today.
Thanks, Megan.
Awesome. All right, Rob, back to you.
Thank you, Megan. Back here in Mission Control in Houston. We just had a quick view of the crew. We'll get that view back, and there they are again. Here in Mission Control, the entry team of flight controllers led by Rick Henfling and Jackie Mahaffey serving as the spacecraft communicator. We have just handed over communications links from the Deep Space Network that we communicated with the crew through from the time of the translunar injection burn back on April 2nd. We've just handed back to the tracking and data relay satellite system as we prepare for the crew module service module separation that will take place just 17 minutes from now. With the Earth looming in front of Integrity as it barrels back for a splashdown into the Pacific just 50 minutes from now, we're just 5,700 nautical miles from splashdown. Just one other quick note about the comparison from the Artemis 1 entry profile to the Artemis 2 entry profile, and how that is serving as an extra layer of protection for Integrity's heat shield. The Artemis 1 entry had an entry range of some 3,178 nautical miles, a very long downtrack and a very longer period of exposure to heat loads than we're experiencing tonight. It also had that skip entry profile that we discussed earlier, dipping into the Earth's atmosphere, then back out, then back in. It was about 20 minutes of exposure.
Integrity, Houston, comm check on Tidris.
Jackie, we have it loud and clear on Tidris.
We have you the same.
And there's one of the weather balloons being deployed from the USS John P. Murtha. So the Artemis 1 entry had the vehicle...
Any update on GPS? We haven't seen a track in yet.
We are watching. We are starting to get into the window where they may start acquiring, so should be within the next 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. We're holding at step 17 and getting ready for CMRCS hot fire.
And that exchange indicating that we are expecting to acquire data from the GPS system on board. That'll be a navigational tool that will basically tell Integrity's computers that they're on track down the center line of the corridor for the entry interface that will lead them to their splashdown point. Once again, the Artemis 1 entry exposed the heat shield for about 20 minutes of peak heating. For Artemis 2, we're going to reach a downtrack distance of 1,701 nautical miles from the point of entry interface with just 14 minutes of duration. And it's basically a different angle of attack, a little bit steeper angle of attack that will protect the heat shield from excessive heat loads. So that is the difference between Artemis 1 and Artemis II, all designed into this mission to gather data, to protect the heat shield, since the Artemis III mission and beyond will have a different designed heat shield that will allow that skip entry type of profile to be resumed for all of the future missions coming back from the south pole of the moon when we initiate lunar landings. So we've handed over to the tracking and data relay satellite system. That's where we'll have communications for the rest of the flight. Just to give you some time hacks here, we're 13.5 minutes away from crew module, service module separation, and just 17 minutes away from the raise burn, that 19-second firing of the thrusters that will basically be the final fine-tuning of the angle of attack for integrity as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. And once again, a dueling box view of some of the assets that are involved in recovery operations today. The
integrity, cabin configured, all crew suited and seated.
Houston copies.
That confirmation from Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, as you see the assets being deployed to the splashdown zone. At the time of splashdown, we expect the John P. Murtha to be about 5 miles away from Integrity, keeping a safe distance until we are sure that the vehicle is in the water and upright, and that it is in a good configuration system-wide for the recovery teams to begin to approach the vehicle to erect that inflatable raft.
2 minutes to CM RCS warm-up hot fire.
We're ready.
That call from spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey indicating that we're 2 minutes away from a quick burst of the reaction control system. Thrusters, that will be a hot fire test prior to the separation of the crew module from the service module. The European service module has performed flawlessly throughout this flight. Everything, all the burns that had been prescribed for that service module have been executed on time and without a problem. There is the European Flight Control Room that has overseen the manufacturing, the design of the European service module. They deserve quite a bit of credit on this mission for not only propelling the Integrity and its astronauts toward the moon, but also conducting the fine-tuning of its trajectory to bring it to this point where we are dead spot on down the middle of the corridor trajectory-wise to bring Integrity down for its splashdown in the Pacific just 44 minutes from now. What you're looking at is a computer-generated visualization based on real-time telemetry from Integrity. Currently traveling about 16,000 miles an hour. Integrity traveling about 16,000 miles an hour.
For the precautions, we're taking a look.
Copy that.
Now just about 5,100 miles from Earth. Splashdown scheduled 43 minutes from now. We're just 9.5 minutes away from the crew module service module separation. We are confirming.
Integrity, we are assessing details, but so far looks like a good hot fire.
Looks good on board, Jackie. Thank you.
And Jackie Mahaffey took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say that we had a good hot fire test of the thrusters in advance of the crew module service module separation that's coming up just 8.5 minutes from now. This will begin the period in which we will have rapid-fire succession of critical activities on board that will lead to entry interface just 28 minutes from now, where the vehicle will enter the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. The time of entry interface, 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time. Integrity's astronauts were awakened at mid-morning to begin their entry preparations. And propulsion officer now reports a good hot fire test in preparation for the crew module service module separation. We're now inside 41 minutes until splashdown.
Integrity Houston, we have confirmed a good CMRCS hot fire, and although we are not seeing GPS acquired yet, you can skip the troubleshooting steps in 157 for now.
Integrity copies.
That GPS discussion indicating that we will be acquiring navigational data for Integrity through the global positioning system equipment on board. We just don't have it yet, but we will. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape to support its high-speed entry into the Earth's atmosphere. It, once again, will reach a peak speed of 24,661.21 miles an hour.
You're calling GPS. We at least have GPS 1 looking good on board.
We're confirming.
The Guidance, Navigation, and Control Officer here in Mission Control confirming that we have good lock on GPS data. We are on a communications link now through the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system. Now, following splashdown, we're going to lose that link and go to what's called a VLDR, a very low data rate communications link, so that we can talk to the crew inside Integrity as they are on the water.
Integrity, confirm we do see good GPS.
We do too, especially GPS 1 is accepting in nav channels 1 and 3.
That GPS data is basically telling Integrity's onboard computers its position relative to the Earth, but its trajectory and its orientation according to flight dynamics and the Guidance, Navigation, and Control Officer is spot on. We have now armed the pyros for the crew module service module separation coming up less than 5 minutes from now. Once again, just 10 seconds after entry interface, we will see Integrity reaching its peak speed of 24,661.21 miles per hour. That will be just seconds before we begin a 6-minute blackout period.
Integrity, Houston. Your vehicle is in a good config for CM-SM SEP and go for CM raise.
Houston, we see the same on board and copy go for CM raise.
That CM raise referred to as the slight firing of 19 seconds by Integrity's thrusters with a change in velocity of 9.9 feet per second, a slight nudge of the aft end of the vehicle so that it's tilted a bit upward, providing the final angle of attack as the vehicle enters the Earth's atmosphere. This being the mitigating factor that will reduce heat loads on the heat shield as we reach a point downrange from the start of entry interface, some 1,701 nautical miles to the splashdown site. Integrity systems in excellent shape. We are currently 3,300 nautical miles left in this mission. Splashdown schedule 36 minutes, 39 seconds from now.
Integrity, Houston. For the 2 enabled prop cautions, what happened is while the thrusters were firing, multiple pressure sensors on each of the strings diverged a bit from each other. Those limits look to be set pretty tight. We think it could happen again when the thrusters fire in the future, so we are going to suppress those messages.
We concur with suppress, not inhibit. Thank you.
That exchange between Jackie Mahaffey, our Capcom for tonight, and Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, indicating basically to ignore sensor data. All of Integrity systems are in good shape. Now, coming up on about 90 seconds till the crew module service module separation. All quiet here in Mission Control as we enter the most critical phase of the completion of this flight. All of the preparatory activities leading up to the vehicle entering the Earth's atmosphere just 21 minutes from now. Coming up on 1 minute. Mark 1 minute till crew module service module separation. We have confirmation of crew module service module separation and a great view, albeit momentarily.
Houston, good step on board.
Houston copies and concurs.
The European service module now separated from Integrity. Job well done.
Integrity, no action for the 4 CDH cautions. Those are SM related, not applicable.
Integrity.
So, with Integrity now flying free on its own for the remaining 32 minutes of this mission, next up, the raise burn, a 19-second firing of Integrity's thrusters.
GPS 2.
Integrity copy, GPS 2.
Coming up on the 2-minute mark until the raise burn. Again, this is the final tweaking of the orientation of Integrity to put it in the right angle, if you will, the angle of attack that it will fly in during its entrance into the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface now just 18 minutes, 25 seconds away. This is a visualization, but driven by real-time telemetry. This is the maneuvering of Integrity to the raise burn orientation. Just 2,800 miles from Earth.
You see, we got a great view of the European service module out the window with the sun hitting the side and the solar rays and the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Roger.
And we have completed the maneuver to the raise burn orientation, 1 minute away from the raise burn. And the crew module raise burn is underway. 19-second firing of the thrusters. And we have a completion of the burn.
Integrity, good. CM raise burn. Your flight path angle is within limits.
Integrity copies. Looks good on board, Jackie.
So the final maneuver is now complete. Our trajectory for a splashdown in the Pacific 29 minutes from now is set and will not be amended any further. And we have the right angle of attack to mitigate any excessive heat loads on the vehicle during entry interface.
Integrity Houston, a heads up about comm coverage. When you perform the 180 roll, for the first minute or so in that attitude, we expect about a minute LOS.
We copy.
So for those who are watching the series of events coming up, we will enter the first races of Earth's atmosphere 14 minutes, 45 seconds from now. 6:53 and 30 seconds is what is pegged for entry interface at an altitude of 400,000 feet traveling at approximately 34,800 feet per second, range to touchdown or splashdown 1,701 nautical miles. 24 seconds after entering the interface, we will enter a 6-minute blackout period in which we will lose communications with the crew. This is expected due to the buildup of plasma around the vehicle. That's an ionization effect due to the collision, if you will, of the velocity of the spacecraft with the friction of the Earth's atmosphere. That 6-minute blackout is expected to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. During that period of time, we will reach our peak speed of 24,661 miles per hour. That comes just short, based on unofficial data from the flight dynamics officer right now, will come just short of the velocity record set by Apollo 10 of 24,791 miles per hour in 1969. We expect peak heating on the vehicle at 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, 1 minute and 22 seconds into entry interface. At that point, we will be just 204,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 33,000 feet per second. The blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes. We expect that blackout period to end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. From the end of the blackout period until splashdown, it is just 7 minutes, at which point we'll start deploying the series of parachutes to slow integrity down to an ultimate splashdown velocity of just 19 miles an hour.
We see the same, waiting for the 180 rolls.
The parachute deployment sequence, once again, will come in several segments, but in rapid-fire succession.
And we have a great view of the moon out window, too. Looks a little smaller than yesterday.
Gas mask to come back.
Reed Wiseman and Jackie Mahaffey exchanging discussion on a view of the moon that Integrity's astronauts are seeing in the final minutes of this mission that will be completed with splashdown just 25 minutes from now. 3 forward bay cover parachutes will be used to pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle. Then 2 drogue parachutes will be deployed to slow and stabilize the crew module during its descent, followed by 3 pilot parachutes that will lift and deploy the main parachutes from the forward bay. The final sequence will have 3 main parachutes deployed. These will be 116 feet in diameter. Each main parachute is approximately 265 feet long when reefed. The parachutes will ultimately slow integrity down from its peak speed of almost 33 times the speed of sound to a gentle 19 miles an hour in splashdown.
25 minutitos quedan, sí, sí. Ahora imaginaros que está bajando a una velocidad de 32.000 kilómetros. O sea, y parece que eran 2.200 grados de temperatura, ¿eh? Una locura. Yo solo espero que el escudo aguante.
Integrity is on a trajectory from southwest and northeast across the Pacific Ocean, descending at a rate of 15,000 feet per second. Range to touchdown 4,300 nautical miles, all the systems in excellent shape.
locura.
Integrity. Arrive in the EI roll 180 attitude.
Let's get on board, Becky.
This view out of one of integrity's windows. We have
Son imágenes de la cápsula.
pressure sensors that feed altitude and rate of descent information to Integrity's computers that will trigger the parachute deployment sequence. We are less than 9 minutes away from entry interface, 22 minutes from splashdown.
Es el interior de la cápsula, sí.
You can see the reflection of one of the numbers in the window. Out in the Pacific, the weather conditions remain go. Just a few clouds, some scattered clouds, winds 10 knots. Wave heights just about 4 feet.
Yo creo que nosotros no recordamos ninguna reentrada de estas, ¿verdad? Yo creo que no.
Integrity back in EI attitude.
Ah, pues tienen comunicación con la cápsula. Sí, sí, porque la han llamado Integrity y... Dios, qué emoción.
Houston copies.
And we're in 37 transferring that's the BSS. Houston in instruction 509. We are not below 0.2.
Integrity, no action required.
Integrity.
Now 6 minutes away from entry interface. We will hit the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling about 34,882 feet per
Están en
second.
caída ya.
Splashdown at that point will be 1,701 nautical miles.
Se para. Vale, no, todavía no. En la órbita entran por la zona norte que estábamos hablando, Rubén. Por la zona norte de Estados Unidos, o sea, digamos la zona de Alaska hacia el Pacífico. Y cuando hacen la órbita ya empiezan a entrar en 32.187 kilómetros por hora y 2.200 grados de temperatura.
And once again, that's due to the fact that a plasma buildup around the
Es lo que digo, yo espero que les
prevent communications and data
porque ya habían tenido problemas con el Artemis 1.
at that time,
Bueno,
nor
que quedó
will we receive data here in the flight control room.
On board, just confirm no pre-EI downloads.
Lo que sí que es cierto es que es una órbita muy corta.
Houston, curve.
that blackout period to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time, and again will last about 6 minutes in duration.
Una órbita muy corta, sí. O sea, que tiene una entrada súper rápida.
We're 4 minutes away from entry interface.
O sea, digamos que hace el desacople que ha hecho, hace una órbita por la parte norte, o sea, en vez de por la zona del polo sur, por la zona del polo norte, y en la zona de Alaska ya hace reentrada en la atmósfera y cae al Pacífico. Hace un giro y cerrado ahí.
This view from integrity as it crosses from southwest to northeast across the Pacific Ocean 3 minutes from
Pero yo creo que si pillan imágenes desde el globo ese o desde los helicópteros, haciendo la reentrada, tiene que ser un espectáculo, ¿eh?
The USS John P. Murtha and the recovery team is on station and in position as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive imagery from as Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment. All of integrity systems are in great shape. The crew is ready to complete its mission just 15 and a half minutes from now. All of the activities today have gone off in perfect fashion. No issues with the vehicle, no issues with the crew. And weather at the splashdown site is go.
Perdón. Ya están entrando ya. Están súper cerca ya.
Coming up on 1 minute until entry interface. Mark 1 minute until entry interface. 1 minute 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout. Integrity.
Mira, Rubén, la forma tan rara que tiene, tío. Es raro.
Ten seconds till entry interface.
Lo que yo no sé si cuando haga directamente la entrada o la atmósfera perderán comunicaciones, porque la temperatura ya como vira, Hostia, qué locura, tío. Me cago en la base. Qué locura, tío.
Time to splash down 13 minutes 10 seconds.
No, no,
And as
no.
predicted, we've entered our communications blackout.
Las comunicaciones han ido.
This will be a 6-minute blackout period.
Como los dedos, ¿ves?
No voice, no data from the crew.
Por Dios. Venga, venga.
We're 30 seconds away from the
Ya,
anticipated point of
control bien
peak heating
tranquilos,
on the
¿eh?
vehicle, where temperatures will
Menos setup que tienen ahí
rise to
montado.
about 4 to
Bueno.
5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our trajectory. And from the G5 aircraft in the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of integrity. So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere. The first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st.
Ahora son 6 minutillos que...
4.5 minutes until the end of the blackout period. Time to splash down, 11 minutes, 33 seconds.
Imaginaros, ese plasma que se crea en el escudo a 2200 grados de temperatura. Tiene que ser una locura. Tiene que ser una auténtica locura. Imaginaros ya en la feria, ya ahí, en una atracción ahí. Esto de locos. Esto es de locos.
The landing and support officer reports that the P3 has acquisition on Integrity.
Ahora la pregunta es, ¿vosotros creéis que estará el patito Donald recibiéndoles en el barco? ¿Qué creéis? ¿O no? ¿Irá Donald Trump a esta gente en el barco?
Flight Dynamics reports that airborne assets in the vicinity of the splashdown zone do have a visual on Integrity. Still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in our blackout period. Time to splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds.
Hay que reconocer que ha sido una misión bastante limpia. No ha habido excesivos problemas. La verdad que
multiple airborne assets as part of the recovery team all have visuals on Integrity.
Silencio.
And the WB-57 flying in the splashdown zone also has a visual. And the Navy helos also have visuals. We're still in the blackout period. Still do not have communications from the crew.
Hombre, Vero, esto como campaña política para Trump le va de perlas. Imagínate. Ahora se le va a subir a la cabeza. O sea, si sale todo bien, como marketing político, imagínate.
Standing by for communications from the crew.
Es un aviso a navegantes. Es decirles a los chinos y a los rusos, somos capaces de volver a la luna, amigos. Andaros con cuidadito. No lo sé, se me ha pasado por la cabeza, ¿eh?
We are now processing data from integrity.
Capaz que no, que puede ser que no. Porque este tío con lo que es, con lo chuleta que es. Pero vamos, que el recibir a esta gente en el barco
Landing and support officer reports that small boats are en route to the splashdown target zone.
les va de perlas. A ver, a ver, a ver. Se está viendo algo ahí, ¿eh? Dios, qué silencio.
Passing through 150,000 feet, our trajectory is perfect.
Mira, ahí va, ¿eh?
We're getting intermittent views of integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Integrity, Houston, contact blackout.
Hostia.
We have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal and your recovery temps have visual.
Pues mira.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
Big cheers from the viewing room here in Mission Control and voice communication reestablished with Commander Reed Wiseman. For America and a waiting world, integrity is
Qué locura, tío.
minutes away from coming home.
Pues están bien, Rubén, están bien. Dice que está todo normal ahí dentro, o sea que...
Passing 100,000 feet now.
Fíjate en las ondas que crea, alrededor,
Range to splashdown 19 nautical miles.
Joder, qué tensión, tío. Ahí va.
Integrity impact to the camera controller fail is no cabin one views of the chute.
Integrity.
We're processing data through the GPS system. A good view of integrity. Time to splashdown 4.5 minutes.
Un ovni, tío. Ahí va, ahí va.
And a view of integrity from the WB-57. We're at 50,000 feet.
Dios, va bastante controlado, ¿eh? Hostia, qué locura, tío. Qué locura.
The pirates are armed for forward bay cover jettison. And there go the first series of
Ya
parachutes
sueltan los
and
paracaídas.
drogues.
And Houston, we're visual to drogue window.
Two good drogue shoots.
Solo dos.
Next up,
We copy, we see them.
next up, the deployment of pilot parachutes that will pull the main chutes out.
A ver, a ver, a
Time
ver, a
to
ver, a
splash
ver.
down 3
Ah,
minutes
qué
and 10
pasada.
seconds.
Qué pasada.
perfect descent rate according to flight dynamics.
Ya, qué locura, ¿eh?
We keep sail on board.
Yo creo que jamás han visto unas imágenes así. Se ha podido ver amenizar, pero así, tío, no. Ahora se de calleja. Hostia puta. Va súper estable ahora, ¿eh? Ah, vale. Vale. Dios,
Main chute deploy.
We're at
5,000 feet.
qué pasada, tío. Sí, señor.
Search and recovery beacon has been activated on integrity.
And
we have three good main chutes.
Mira la camarita, ¿eh?
Good three main chutes.
Mira la camarita, Rubén. Una de esas que la pillara.
Good looking parachutes. Cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrogen check.
Es una térmica, ¿no? Mira cómo está la cápsula. Rubén.
It's crew sounding Hale and Hardy on board. Time to splash down 1 minute 15 seconds.
Totalmente de acuerdo, Vero. Yo creo que mejor no podía haber salido, ¿verdad?
From its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon.
Fíjate la cápsula cómo está. ¿Qué ha pasado por ahí?
Passing through 1,000 feet.
Hombre, la verdad, todo genial. O sea, no se puede pedir más. Ahora imagino que caerán en el mar. Perfecto, tío. Hostia, muy bien. Qué locura. Qué locura. A ver cuánto tardan en llegar. Qué locura, ¿eh? Sí, señor.
From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth. And the landing and support officer reports the vehicle is
¿Cuáles de ellos? Los que salían de la cápsula. Yo creo que es algún tipo de propulsión que tienen para orientarse o algo de eso. A ver cuánto tardan en recogerles. Pues muy bien, gente. Artemisa ya está en casa.
That would put the end of the mission at a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 31 minutes, 35 seconds. And we're configuring for very low data rate.
A ver, si se ve algo por ahí. A ver.
Once again, splashdown occurring in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego at 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m.
Integrity Houston, contact on VLDR. We have you the same. We'll meet you over in post-landing.
Communications established.
Journey. We are stable 1, 4, green, crew members.
Houston, copies all.
Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members. That is not their complexion. That is the fact that they're in great condition. That's what that means. So stable 1, upright, the crew module uprighting system is being deployed, 5 airbags being inflated through helium to maintain the upright configuration for the vehicle. This was a textbook entry, a textbook touchdown for integrity. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen back on Earth after a journey around the moon.
Dios, cómo se ve la cámara, tío. Qué locura. Cómo se ve, tío. Qué pasada, ¿eh? Yo me imaginaba era un montón de helicópteros, un montón de barcos. ¿Sabes? Joder, digo.
We continue to monitor the functioning of the seamless system. The airbags are being inflated to maintain a stable 1 or upright configuration. And there's a good view from one of the naval helicopters hovering overhead. Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members, meaning they're all in excellent shape.
Integrity Houston for SRB and radio.
La cámara viene con el helicóptero incluido, ¿no?
We see the beacon on, however, the recovery team is not seeing the signal. Your SAR radio uses the same antenna, so you may run into trouble with the radio.
Y mira que estarán a distancia, Rubén. Estarán bastante lejos,
So integrity is in great shape, and as the crew continues its post-splashdown timelined activities on board, Reed Wiseman once again reporting that all 4 crew members are in excellent shape. And we have 5 inflated airbags to maintain an upright configuration so that the recovery team can now begin a slow approach to the vehicle. Meanwhile, here in the flight control room, entry flight director Rick Henfling is polling his team of flight controllers for the start of powering down the vehicle after a thorough systems check. We have no toxic gases to be concerned about, so the recovery personnel can approach the vehicle, but not until we have powered down the spacecraft. That's expected to take a few more minutes.
y se ve el mar bien tranquilo, ¿sabes? No se ve mucho oleaje.
Integrity back on Earth, following its historic flyby of the moon. It was, for all intents and purposes, a textbook mission.
On 28 per hour main on this frequency.
Tiene que valer como el helicóptero entero. Imagínate lo que valdrá un cacharro de eso. Una locura.
Reed Wiseman indicating some trouble with the SARSAT phone on board. But that's not an issue. What is more important is that the vehicle is solid.
Pero seguramente estaremos hablando igual de los 30.000 para arriba, ¿eh? Lo que me ha chocado es el globo que había antes ahí arriba. Ese globo, ¿para qué narices era?
The propulsion officer here in Mission Control reports that we have safed the prop system on integrity.
Could you say again? That was very weak and broken.
Integrity, Houston did not call.
Copy that, Houston. It might have been on the SAR radio. Stand by.
All of the milestones were executed in perfect fashion. Integrity entering the Earth's atmosphere.
No sé lo que sería, sería algún tipo de radar o de cámara. No lo sé, igual era algún tipo de cámara que la tenían ahí subida a bastante altura. No te puedo decir, ¿eh? Es que han salido unas imágenes, se veía como el globo, pero es que luego había otra imagen que ha salido también y se veía como si el globo tendría una hélice, ¿sabes? Como si el globo podría, ¿sabes?, girar. Así que igual pienso que podría ser algún tipo de cámara. Algún tipo de cámara o también para rastrear o, ¿sabes? O algo de esto, tío. Se está costando ir a por ellos, ¿eh?
Integrity, Houston, with no joy on SAR and SAT phone, we'd like you to command an additional 15 minutes for a total of 30-minute power down delay.
All right, Jackie, we have selected T/D+30. No joy on SAR radio or sat phone. And stand by, we have the master diver on SAR radio. Please hold comms.
Hey Lily, excuse me. Hey Jackie, we just got the master diver on SAR.
Ya están. Joder, ya les ha costado, ¿eh?
A good view of one of the fast boats.
Integrity, Houston, if you are happy with your comm with Master Diver, you can go back to the 15-minute power down.
We'll confirm here in a second.
Yo creo que ese globo, ya te digo, que el globo ese, Rubén, debía ser algún tipo de cámara o algo de eso. Por la altura, porque un helicóptero que suba 6.000, 7.000 metros de altura no te sube un helicóptero. Bueno, menos uno de esos.
Communications capability between the crew on board Integrity and the recovery team. That will get sorted out here shortly.
Pero me recordaba a los, ¿te acuerdas los globos estos que derribaron en Estados Unidos, que eran de China, tal y cual que eran los globos espía? Pues se escucha, era algo parecido. Era algo parecido. Imagínate un globo de esos que lo subes a para subir, ¿no? Pero que suba ya más, yo que sé, de 12.000 metros de altura o 10.000 metros de altura, donde ya no te llega un helicóptero o cualquier cosa de esta. Lo tienes ahí parado, jipeando con la cámara lo que no está escrito, porque fíjate la cámara que zoom tenía.
So as we continue to sort out the communications between Integrity and the recovery teams,
pues bueno, muy contentos, ¿no? Muy contentos, ha salido todo perfecto.
As you see, the recovery teams are moving towards the side of the capsule. The next major event will be the erection of that large inflatable raft called the front porch. That will be the port of call for the crew as they're being extracted one by one from the vehicle.
Ahora, claro, ahora tenemos una en 2 años, ¿no? Que es la Artemis 3. Esta solo me parece que va a hacer vuelo orbital por la Tierra.
Integrity Houston for sat phone. We are going to attempt to call you.
Vaya tontería, ¿no? Pero bueno. Y luego ya, me parece que para el 2030, creo que, o antes del 2030 ya tienen previsto alunizar. Pero que también los chinos quieren hacerlo para el 2030, o sea que ahí está la guerra, ¿sabes? Ahora Estados Unidos ha dicho, que estamos aquí, chavalitos, no os columpiéis. Hombre, está genial, ¿no? Luego ya veremos a ver a dónde nos lleva todo esto. ¿Sabes? ¿Con qué fin? Pero para mí, por ejemplo, es lo que te digo, pues que pondrían un telescopio en la cara oculta, claro, lo que lleva además que tenga que haber gente ahí, ¿sabes? Pues sería la leche, porque veríamos imágenes del universo que no hemos visto jamás, ¿no? Imaginaros desde ahí la distancia y todo lo que se podría ver desde la cara oculta de la Luna, ¿no? Pero si luego entramos ya en minería espacial y tal y cual, ya pues no lo sé. Hay intereses muy grandes en explotar la Luna, eso está claro. Pero el tema es que se explote como para utilizarlo, digamos, para una colonia lunar, para poder sacar agua, para poder sacar oxígeno, hidrógeno, todo esto, o que empresas privadas lleguen y hagan un desastre ahí. Ese es el tema. Porque eso vale mucho dinero, ¿eh? ¿Tendrán un protocolo de por qué no le sacan tan rápidamente, tío?
And Houston on OE1, is there any chance to tie us into NRD?
Checking.
This is Mission Control, Houston. While we stand by for the
Igual es para que se
establishment
enfríe
of
la cápsula.
communications between Integrity and the recovery team that is basically standing by very close to the spacecraft, we're going to go to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha, where Megan Cruz is standing by with Administrator Jared Isaacman.
Hey, Rob, yeah, just such an honor to be able to be here on the ship, to be able to share and experience this moment with everyone together. And of course, as you just said, yes, here with NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Administrator, how did you feel getting to witness this and seeing NASA at its best?
Oh, I mean, I'm honestly, I'm still at a loss for words. I mean, you know, like the childhood Jared right now can't believe what I just saw. I mean, almost been waiting my whole lifetime to see this, and then it's NASA Administrator. I just couldn't be more proud of the entire workforce, the years, the effort, the late nights, all the hard work from across the country that contributed to this incredible moment right now. And yeah, incredibly grateful too for our teams here on John P. Murtha right now.
Yeah, look at the behind us here.
Got everybody. What do you guys think? We just brought some astronauts back from the moon, huh? Unbelievable. Thank you. Yeah, so grateful to the Navy, the sailors that are here, the NASA teams. I mean, this is a joint effort that's on their way right now. These recovery forces are getting out to our Orion spacecraft, to Integrity, get our astronauts back on the ship safely.
Yeah, and this is not just an accomplishment for NASA. This is an accomplishment
Fijaros
for
en la
humanity.
cápsula,
Again, a historic mission to the moon and back. How does this make you feel, and what do you hope people take away from this?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I think about the crew members that we've all had an opportunity to observe over the last 10 days, right? I mean, they're absolutely professional astronauts. I mean, wonderful communicators, almost poets. But then I think these were the ambassadors from humanity to the stars that we sent out there right now. And I can't imagine a better crew than the Artemis II crew that just completed a perfect mission right now. So yes, it's a huge moment for everybody, right? I mean, we are back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon, bringing them back safely, and to set up for a series more. I mean, this is not a once in a
Pues hombre, la verdad que tiene razón, ha sido una misión perfecta, o sea, que no...
This is just the beginning. We are going to get back into doing this with frequency, sending missions to the moon until we land on it in 2028 and start building our base.
Yeah, are we going to build on the momentum for Artemis 3? I mean, it's just around the corner.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's,
O sea, que en el
Artemis 2, I can't
2028
wait to get the crew off of Integrity
se hace la orbital por la Tierra, ¿no?
Integrity back on this ship so we can start taking a look at it, because all that data is so precious to us right now. I mean, we are going to definitely want to take a good look at the thermal protection system. We're going to want to download all the data they couldn't transmit back to us and use that to inform Artemis 3. But we're already making progress, right? You had SRB segments already showing up at KSC. Core stage for Artemis 3 is rolling out on April 20th. We're getting Mobile Launcher 1 back in vehicle assembly building. So yes, there is a lot to celebrate right now on a mission well accomplished for Artemis 2, and at the same time, we got to start getting ready for 3.
Amazing. And last question, you know, for people who joined us for all 10 days to see what we can accomplish together with our international partners, what do you think about the fact that we're going to keep doing this more and more and more?
It's incredibly exciting. I mean, yes, it's the contributions, like the best and brightest across the NASA workforce from across the country, our industry partners, our international partners. We had a Canadian Space Agency astronaut on board in Jeremy. We had the European Service Module. And you think, in the days leading up to this launch, I mean, 48 hours prior to launching Artemis 2, I was meeting with the Italian Space Agency. We signed a memorandum of understanding to build a habitation module on the moon. I mean, you have countries, all of our allies and partners coming together saying, we are committed to this effort. We are returning to the moon. We're doing it to stay. We are building that enduring presence. We are going to master the skills on the surface of the moon so someday we can undertake missions to Mars. It's just an incredibly exciting time, and we're not going at it alone. We're bringing everybody along with us.
Absolutely. And speaking of everyone, one more time, we're going to ask the crew here, you guys ready to land on the moon? Awesome. I love that. Okay, well, thank you so much, Administrator. Appreciate you being here. We're, of course, going to stay on to watch the crew get extracted from Orion, so stay tuned, and we'll see you back here shortly.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you, Administrator Isaacman. We are in the process of working to establish that communications link and to establish the procedures that will lead to the power down of the spacecraft, which is gently bobbing in the Pacific following a bullseye touchdown that occurred at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego. We have once again heard from the crew during that interview opportunity with the administrator, and we have 4 healthy crew members on board. We now have confirmation that the vehicle has been powered down as per the procedures. So we have vehicle powered down, and the flight control team here in Houston, Flight Director Rick Henfling, has handed over mission authority to the Exploration Ground Systems team out in the Pacific. Now, we will physically not get off console with this team until the crew has been extracted into the front porch, that inflatable raft that will be erected along the side hatch of Integrity. So we're standing by for that in the next step in the recovery procedures. But everything is in great shape, and we have 4 healthy crew members on board the vehicle. All of the entry events went by the book, no issues, perfect trajectory for Integrity that was culminated with one final raise burn to improve the angle of attack for the vehicle as it entered the Earth's atmosphere. All of that flight dynamics computation worked like a charm. So we are standing by for the recovery team to approach Integrity and begin the process of erecting that inflatable raft called the front porch, which will see the crew members be extracted from the hatch of Orion into that inflatable raft before they're hoisted aboard 2 Navy helicopters.
Muchas gracias, Vero, por estar. Lo hemos visto todos juntos. Eso ha sido lo bueno. A ver, lo hemos gozado entre todos, o sea, así que nada, que descanses. Yo también voy a cortar el directo ahora mismo ya.
Before they turn around to head back to the John P. Murtha. Once on the deck of the ship, they'll be brought into medical bay for comprehensive medical exams. But Reed Wiseman has reported several times that the crew is in excellent shape.
Lo que sí es que si no, no sé si hay un protocolo o algo, tío.
So just to recap, it has been some 26.5 minutes since the splashdown of Integrity in the Pacific. The vehicle is in excellent shape. It performed like a champ all the way down through the Earth's atmosphere. All of the vehicle functions were checked off in excellent trip hammer fashion. The parachutes all deployed as planned. Splashdown occurring at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. And after a bit of a tussle to try to establish a communications link with the recovery team, we were finally able to run through the procedures for the powering down of the vehicle.
El protocolo es que equipos de buzos especializados llegan en cuestión de minutos para asegurar la cápsula. Dios, yo no los he visto, no sé si están por ahí, pero no los he visto. Aseguran la cápsula, comprueban posibles fugas o daños, estabilizan, evitan el vuelque. Yo eso no lo he visto, o sea, sé que han sacado los airbags, pero eso no lo he visto. Buscan vapores tóxicos, riesgos, combustibles residuales, etc. Y extraen la tripulación si hay, dicen. Dice que en teoría, cuando hay gente dentro, la extracción es rápida y prioritaria. Y la cápsula se introduce en un compartimento inundable del buque Weldeck. Vale, o sea que... Vale, entonces en teoría el primer contacto los buzos entre 5 y 15 minutos tras el amerizaje. Asegurar la cápsula entre 30 y 60 minutos. Y la recuperación completa entre 1 y 2 horas. Dice que en misiones de prueba como Artemis 1 todo el proceso fue deliberadamente mucho más lento para la recopilación de datos. ¿Por qué no es inmediato? No se puede acercar a lo loco, hay riesgo químico y estructural, la cápsula puede estar girando inestable, el océano introduce variables de oleaje, viento, y bueno, eso es descartable, y se prioriza la seguridad sobre la rapidez. Vamos, que están chequeando cosillas. Ya decía yo, digo, joder, es que se me hace raro. Ya estaría yo abriendo la escotilla y sacando la cabeza.
This is Mission Control Houston. After talking to the flight dynamics folks, we have a bit of a refinement on the splashdown time for you. Their computation shows a splashdown time of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time, 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds. Once again, from Flight Dynamics, a splashdown time of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds. Reports from the Pacific indicate that the recovery team, in communications with the crew aboard Integrity, that the crew remains in excellent shape as they await the approach of the team for a final hazard gas evaluation before they move to the side of the vehicle to erect the inflatable life raft called the front porch. Again, no issues with Integrity. The vehicle is powered down. All of its systems are now safed. We have handed over mission authority to the Exploration Ground Systems folks in the Pacific, but we will not stand down and have the entry flight control team depart its positions until that inflatable raft, the front porch, is erected, the hatch open, and the crew having exited the vehicle. So that's the next step in the recovery process that will lead to the hoisting of the crew members. For 2 crew members for each helicopter, they'll be hoisted to a pair of Navy helicopters that will then fly a short distance back to the USS John P. Murtha. What you're looking at is one of the fast boats circling the vehicle to make a hazard assessment.
Vale, esa en teoría yo creo que son los buzos, ¿verdad? Complicado todo, ¿eh? Como con detectores, ¿no? Sí, sí. ¿Vosotros recordáis en alguna misión del Apolo o alguna de estas, después del amerizaje, que se haya tardado tantísimo en recogerlos? Yo creo que no. Yo creo que esta gente llegaba, ni radiación, ni químicos, ni 8 cuartos. Llegaban y ahí a las buenaventuranzas, yo creo, ¿eh?
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, you're watching the initiation of the recovery of the Artemis crew aboard Integrity. All of the Navy divers and the fast boats are now approaching the spacecraft after conducting a hazard assessment. The vehicle has been powered down. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling now waiting for the life raft, the front porch, to be erected along the side of the vehicle so that the hatch can be opened and the crew members extracted from Integrity, soon to be hoisted one by one into a pair of Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. If you missed it earlier, we talked to Flight Dynamics and received a more official touchdown time or splashdown time, as it were, of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Pacific Time. That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds.
Creo que alguna vez cuando venían de la IS era parecido. Sí, pero me refiero en misiones anteriores. A ver, en misiones anteriores, no tan nuevas, tío. Yo creo que el protocolo este de seguridad se lo pasaban por ahí, ¿eh? De hecho, es que no sé si recuerdo en alguna misión haber visto haber abierto la puerta de la cápsula, ¿eh? Tengo que mirar bien, pero me suena a mí haber visto en alguna misión cuando llegaban, ni esperar, salir el tío. A estos protocolos de seguridad de radiación, de combustible, de productos químicos, etcétera, etcétera. Parece que se ve bien el stream, no tiene lag.
Continuing to get excellent views from the imagery assets out at sea in the Pacific of integrity. We continue to get good reports from the landing and support officer, who's in contact with the recovery team, that the crew is in excellent shape, no issues. They're just currently biding their time, waiting for the front porch to be erected. We have no hazardous hazard gases and no hazardous situation with the vehicle. It performed perfectly all the way down from entry interface to its splashdown in the Pacific at 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. And as you can see, the first phalanx of recovery personnel now pulling up alongside of integrity. This includes Navy divers, a Navy flight surgeon, and other recovery personnel who have trained for several years for this recovery process.
Vale, ahora parece ya que se han acercado ya, que la han estado tocando, han dicho que está todo correcto, no hay fugas, no hay radiación de nada.
At this hour, some 41 minutes following splashdown, the vehicle has been powered down. There's no hazardous gas emanating from the vehicle. That's why the first team of recovery personnel has been able to pull alongside Integrity, and the reports continue to come in that the 4 astronauts are in excellent shape. Yes.
Siguen chequeando ahí, ¿eh?
This is Mission Control Houston, continuing to watch the initiation of the recovery of Integrity's astronauts. One by one, they'll be brought out of the spacecraft onto a large inflatable raft just a short time from now. In the meantime, we can go back to the USS John P. Murtha, where my colleague Megan Cruz is standing by to provide her situation report. Megan, can you hear us?
Hey Rob, yes I can hear you. Thank you. Yeah, we're back here on the bow of the recovery ship where there are still plenty of people peering out into the water. We are not very far from the action everyone is seeing on their screen now. The Orion spacecraft, Integrity, in the ocean, surrounded by a number of recovery boats. As Rob has been saying, in those recovery boats, NASA and Navy personnel specifically trained to get the astronauts out of Orion. In some of our wide shots, you can probably see that there are 6 boats out in the water. More than 40 people out in the water right now on those boats.
¿Qué pasaba, tío?
First order of business is to set up the front porch and the stabilization collar. You might also hear it referred to as a stab collar.
¿Te van a abrir ya?
Basically just to make sure that Orion stays upright, doesn't sway in the water too much, again, to make it easier for recovery forces to get the astronauts out. again, we splashed down in the Pacific Ocean just after 5 p.m. Pacific time here. It's a requirement by NASA to be able to get the crew out of Orion within 2 hours of splashdown. So doing great on time so far. Plenty of time. No rush either. You know, I was speaking to NASA flight surgeon Rick Schuring earlier in this broadcast, and he said to me, you know, no rush to get the crew out. Just want to make sure that they're feeling good, and whenever they're ready to take their step out of Orion and onto that large raft, the front porch, folks will be ready.
La están abriendo, la están abriendo.
And as there are mission audio loops in mission control in Houston, there is a mission audio loop here on the ship, and it was just reported out that the side hatch is open. Side hatch of integrity is open. You're getting these beautiful shots from our aerial assets. The ship itself, where I'm on, just 3,000 yards away. Again, plenty of people on the boat here, glued to the side closest to where they can see all this action. And again, with just 3,000 yards separating us, great views from the bow here. You can see now that side hatch is open. One of the Navy personnel is about to get inside there. In they go. In total, 4 will go into Orion. So it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but the goal is to have a recovery personnel with each astronaut assessing them. Boats getting closer now. Again, that one that's right up against Orion, those are the divers that will go in to the spacecraft to check on each of the astronauts. These other boats will begin doing a number of things, putting on that stabilization collar onto Orion, building that front porch. Eventually they will retrieve the parachutes, as well as tow Orion back to the well deck of the recovery ship here. And so as we wait for the Navy and NASA personnel to get their assessment of the crew inside of Orion, why don't we toss it back to Rob for an update?
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Here in Mission Control, Flight Director Rick Henfling and the entry team of flight controllers still on duty. The vehicle has been powered down for some time now. There are no hazardous gases emanating from integrity. That, of course, allowed the recovery personnel to approach the vehicle and then open the hatch.